Hello and welcome back to Everything Wrong with the World. I am Skylar Tortajada, and obviously today we have a bit of a different setup going on in here because, there was issues and we can no longer use the radio room that we usually film in with the actual radio setup and everything. Not for a while. We can't use it because the computer wasn't working. There was skipping that probably came up in the last couple episodes, so sorry for any, inconvenience with that. But we can't use the computer anymore in there because it's old and doesn't work. So I'm in the Foley studio in the back of the TV class production studio thingy, recording directly into my editing software with this microphone that is precariously placed. I don't know how good this audio is going to be. I'm sorry if it's not great. I'll try my best to edit it to what it can be. And, we'll see how this goes. Again, sorry for inconsistency. I don't think anyone cares because I have like 4 consistent listeners. But, yeah, so I'm trying to look at the camera. I'm trying to make sure the shot is all good. But just excuse any issues that I have as I'm just trying to get this all started up and deal with the changes as they come. But welcome back to Everything Wrong with the World. This episode, I kind of wanted to work on a broader topic because I was thinking about doing something more broad, but it's one that is probably going to come up in a bunch of different contexts again, and some of the stuff might just be like things you've heard over and over again, repeating. But since the Democratic primaries are taking off and everything's going on, everything is always about politics, I decided that I could talk about politics today. So let's talk about politics. But the main reason I was looking at politics today, because I always look on Google when I'm looking for a topic. I look at the most searched stuff on Google, and it was all about Bernie Sanders, and he's doing really good in the polls, and he's like really, I don't know how it works. It's like the delegates, right? And then so like he has a bunch of those with the caucus thing where they go around and then people like who would they vote for, and he's winning that. So good news for people who like Bernie Sanders. I feel like there's a lot of stigma around each of the Democratic candidates, and that's what I think is going to be the fault of this election, because I'm speaking myself as someone who would, I guess, identify more in line with the more Democratic views. So, like, if I could vote, I'd probably be voting Democrat usually, although I personally wouldn't want to restrict myself to one party or the other. But especially in this election, because, I'm someone who is not extremely fond of our current president, to say a little bit. But the Democratic candidates, it's like there's all these different candidates and everybody has such strong opinions about each one of them that I feel like we're not united. So whatever one gets up and is doing their thing, they're not going to be fully supported by everyone else, and then it's like everybody's going to like not vote or write in or third party vote and whatever, and it's all this confusion of the Democrats is all going to get mixed up, and then the Republican candidate Donald Trump is just going to, he has all his Republicans that know they want to vote for him, so he's just going to bring that in. There's one Republican candidate, but like he's not that prominent, and he just, I don't know. I mean, he seems okay. I just read like a little profile on him, which I'm sure somebody made in his interest, but I mean, he seems fine. But he's not going to beat Trump because like Trump already won, so he's already got it in the bag. But with all these Democratic candidates, everybody has their own thing. When I first was hearing about it, I just assumed because Joe Biden, who used to be the vice president, I was like, okay, he's like besties with Obama, so he's obviously going to win because people love Obama, so why wouldn't we love Joe Biden? But with many things, there was more to it than I realized, where it's like he's just like, people don't like him for him, and you know, there's faults to everyone, and the Obama administration, like there's a bunch of like stuff in that people aren't exactly fond of. But so everyone doesn't really like Joe Biden right now, although he's one of the front runners. And of the front runners, one of them was in the beginning, I don't know, I forget his name, but he was like one of the only ones that wasn't white. He was Asian American. So we had that going for us in the beginning. We had Cory Booker, we had Kamala Harris, and there was diversity there. But with the front running candidates now, it's like it's back to square one, where it's like all like old white people, except for Pete Buttigieg. He's young. I think he's awesome, honestly, but everybody seems to have an issue with him. Anyway, we're kind of getting back to where we've been these past centuries, where it's just like it's old white dudes, and it's what it is, I guess. I mean, obviously, if you're choosing a president and you're choosing the best person to run the country, it's not always about, oh, this person's white, this person's black, you know, we need to get this person, blah, blah, blah. If you're handling racial issues, then yes, race is important. But if you're talking about the president as a whole, sometimes race isn't as important. But at the same time, it would be, I feel like it'd be better to have more, like a better mixture, because that's always great. Like, it's always great. It's always more progressive to see the diversity in the candidates that we've seen in the past with, like, Obama. With there are two women that are front runners. One of them is Elizabeth Warren. I forget the other one's name, but they're part of the primaries. Like, they're the main like group of people part of the primaries, but they're in the polls all the way at the bottom. So it's like, you know, we're doing something, but maybe it's not enough, because you know we're working. We got so close last time to have the first female president, but we're not. But a lot of it is about funding, because I feel like the people who, I forget when we were talking about this, I think it was like in history class or something, but the candidates who are supporters of the poor and, you know, all these oppressed groups, they're like the people who are speaking for them, the candidates that speak in the name of the lower class, their supporters are the lower class, and the lower class can't afford to fund their campaign and donate and do all this stuff that, you know, the other candidates, like say Bernie Sanders has, you know, although he is supporting the lower classes, but let's say there's like a front running candidate that is saying, oh, let's give money to people, I don't know, but who is supporting the middle class and the rich. Those people have the funds to financially support the campaign. So when you're speaking for people who have such a small voice, they don't have a voice enough to keep you alive. So I feel like that's the issue with, you know, trying to find a good candidate, is like the good ones, they have the pitfalls of financial and all that other stuff. And the other thing is that everybody has a scandal, and everybody has something tied to their name that's not good. So it's like, you know. And then people don't like Bernie Sanders because they say he's like too socialist, where he wants to spread the wealth, he wants to create health care. My thing with Bernie Sanders is like, who's his vice president? Because, you know, with all due respect, he's older, and he might not be the president the 4 years that he's the president. There's that. Like, all the candidates are older except for Pete Buttigieg. They're like, I think, like around Donald Trump's age, and Donald Trump is already like the oldest president. So it's like, we're not getting any young voices, we're not getting any new voices. From what I've heard about Pete Buttigieg, I think he's great. He's gay, so he gets gay points, but I don't know much else about him. I'm allowed to say that because I'm gay, so I'm just kidding. That's not how it works. but meaning that he seems like, I don't want to say like hip because like being gay isn't like some hip thing, but it kind of is now. But he's like nuanced. He has new ideas. He has ideas that weren't really seen before. He's the new type of person where it's like he's normalizing all that and everything. And he seems like great. He seems like articulate and smart, and he gives good answers. But for some reason, not everybody is vibing with that. I don't know why I'm being so weird today. For the adults that don't know, vibing, when you're vibing with something, you're like, that's great. That's like, I feel it. Like, I can get with this. That's the child lingo right now, that you're vibing with something. So not everybody is vibing with Pete Buttigieg. And I don't know why, like, I don't know what it is. My friend was saying that her dad thinks he's, like, too perfect. And he has, like, this whole conspiracy. But, like, maybe that idea of, like, he's not, like, overly pushing anything, and, like, he does, like, again, it's, like, the neutralism where it's, like, no one is that passionate about anything that he's that passionate about. So it's like everybody's just kind of like, eh. Whereas Bernie Sanders, he has all the people who want to spread the wealth and that, like, socialistic ideas. They're supporting him because he's so passionate about it. So there's stuff like that. And I feel like Bernie Sanders, his ideas are, like, they seem pretty cool to me because he's talking about, like, you know, helping the poor, spreading the wealth, you know, college, healthcare, things like that. And especially to a kid, that's something that seems like, at first glance, it's like, oh my god, that's awesome, why weren't we always doing that? Like, why don't we just, like, give money to everyone? Because, like, duh. But then it's like, that money comes from somewhere, and then you're thinking about, like, the raising in taxes, and where is he going to raise taxes, and all that, because, again, we've talked about this in other episodes, the tax system is flawed. Like, it's, like, needs fixing. So, but I think just raising taxes altogether, even, like, it's like, it adds to it. Like, you're just raising taxes, people are getting more upset. Like, whose taxes are being raised? Are they these people, these people, these people, these people? Because, like, while we need, like, evenness, and while people who can't support themselves and their families shouldn't have to pay taxes, that's all good stuff. That's all stuff that I believe in. But at the same time, we can't be just, like, taking all the money from the rich and giving it to the poor, which I know that sounds like awful, and that sounds like conservative ideas or whatever, or like I'm being over dramatic about it. But I mean, we can't just do that. Like, even the middle class, like, we can't just overly tax the middle class. We need to find a good way, like a good rate at which to extract and spread the wealth in like an even way, but not a way that's completely even, because that's communism, and no. But his ideas are good, but then it's like, you know, a lot of the other thing about all these candidates is that kids, another thing that adults might not know is that children, talk about them, like, they make memes and stuff about them. Like, there's this one about Bernie Sanders and salami. It's like, it's a whole thing. I couldn't explain it. But, like, kids are talking about it and getting in on it. But like I said, like, we have a very limited view of things. Again, not to say that kids are stupid. Like, not at all. Like, kids have great ideas. Kids can, like, you know, sometimes they detect things that adults don't. But at the same time, like, from my personal experience, sometimes we don't understand everything. So it's like, we don't really know. And especially with social media, like, you always see stuff, like, I keep seeing stuff that's like, oh, there's this song, and it's like, please don't make me vote for Joe Biden. And it's all over TikTok, right? And so kids are just like, okay, Joe Biden is bad. But, like, I don't really know why he's bad. Like, I know there's, like, stuff around his name. But, you know, I just accepted that, where I was like, okay, people don't like Joe Biden because I saw it somewhere. So there's that other aspect of, like, the social influence of it that's, like, you know, in your face, where whatever person is trying to get you to believe what they believe, and they probably only believe it because they heard it from someone else. But, you know, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the time. I started late. This might be a shorter episode, but we always have more stuff to talk about, because politics it's such a broad topic, because, we're talking about all these candidates, and I know whichever candidate goes up, like I said, I don't know if any particular candidate, that's the bell. You can hear things very clearly in here. I'm sure you was that on the track? I don't know. Anyway, it's a very broad topic. That's not where I was. I'm so sorry. But I don't think any one candidate has enough support to go the distance and to beat Trump, because they all individually have a lot of support. The Democratic Party as a whole has a lot of support, but individually the candidates, just whichever one goes up, doesn't have enough support to, beat out this election. But again, back to the whole social media and people getting you to believe what they believe and all of that. That's the whole other side of politics. That is what I hate. I'm here today to tell you what I hate the most is, again, like I said, my views more align Democrat, most of them. I'm going to be honest, most of them. Some things I'm like, maybe they have a point. But those are just little things. I would say, generally me, more liberal, right? Although, like I said, I don't want, especially when I'm older and I'm voting, I don't want to designate myself to one party, because I want to be able to pick the best candidate.
Adam Noir to the Anthony Counseling Center.
Sorry about that.
Adam Noir to the Anthony Counseling Center.
So I want to be able to pick the best candidate based on what they're going to do. I know that sounds like something that like a Republican says when they don't want you to be mad at them for being a Republican. They're like, I just want to choose who's best, and just it was the lesser evil to vote for someone who is racist. Anyway, not like that, but in the sense of literally just looking through all the options, because I feel like people don't do that enough anymore, because it's okay, here's the thing that I hate. I don't hate Democrats and I don't hate Republicans. I hate anyone who is fixated on their point of view. They're just saying, this is what I believe, and everything is this other person's fault, and I'm going to just broadcast that all over the place, and I'm going to make other people believe that. That is what I hate, because it's you're not listening to anyone. You're not seeing the whole picture. You're not doing anything, and you're just driving in your opinion for zero reason. And it's did anyone ask? Because I didn't. You have your opinion, but at the same time, you need to accept other people's opinions. You need to think about them, and you need to figure out what you think is best. You need to create your own list of morals, and you can't just drive in a point and expect everybody else to believe it because you're screaming it in their face. And that's the thing that I hate. I hate people who are not overly passionate, but overly insistent and overly insistent and, screaming in your face about their political views and won't change their mind. They're obviously not seeing the whole picture, and that's what annoys me. So, whether you vote Democrat, you vote Republican, just keep in mind your own views. Of course, keep your morals up. If you already have your set of morals, keep that up. Stick to that, because that's you and that's what you believe is best. But at the same time, see the whole picture and take in things that other people are saying, because that is what's going to make you a smarter person, a person who keeps better things in mind, who keeps other people in mind, and a person who makes better decisions. So always keep all that in mind. Make sure you're making decisions that you think are good for yourself, for the world, for the country, whatever it is, and just keep yourself smart about the things that you do. So that has been my podcast. Sorry, this episode was a minute or two short, but I will see you next week.